So, working more on the Heist film, I have written down a series of notes. I have published it on Facebook under private, but I have come up with the official names. And when I write a screenplay, a lot of times I think of a person. So, in a lot of cases, I think of stars. So, for example, Brad Pitt is the head thief of these bikers. They're not really a biker gang. They're just more like, think of Heat with Michael Bay, kind of that do big scores. These are engraving tablets that they're taking from the Bureau of Engravings and Printing in Fort Worth is one of the things they want to do. And the head thief, whose name is, well, it's not Brad Pitt though, but they all have aliases. So the Brad Pitt movie star alias goes by the name of the McConaughey, because he runs the Southern Militia. Now, I'm not talking about Matthew McConaughey, I'm talking about the alias. Now, there is a juxtaposed character which is played by Matthew McConaughey. This is kind of a strange story. It's kind of a mind twister, even listen to it. Matthew McConaughey plays a character named Jay Wilson, who is a Texas Ranger. Now, also, who's on the case is an FBI agent, who I think Mark Wahlberg would be great for, who is kind of a little naive, a little not always on task, a little Keystone Cops. And his name is Special Agent Ian Keys. It's a weird first spelling of Ian, or Ewan Keys. Okay. Now, you have the four thieves. Or actually, there are five, because there's one special thief that's a hacker. He also operates from a bunker underground and from a helicopter, because he has a helicopter license. He's a big-time hacker. That guy would be played by Bradley Cooper, and his alias name is called Norton. Now, you know that Brad Pitt's, his alias character or whatever is known as the McConaughey. Now, it's got an Ocean's 11 feel a little bit. It takes place at a 5 o'clock traffic opening, and in the middle of heavy traffic, coming right off of 35W, right by the West Engraving Bureau. And they're all in ninjas. Now, there's 4 bank robberies that happen at the same time, and most of them are decoy bank robberies. And one bike goes north, one bike goes south, one bike goes west, and one bike goes east. We're talking about ninja motorcycles. That's what they escape on. Now, they also have fake jobs. One of the guys works as a janitor for the engraving building, and he's played by Josh Brolin. And his character's name is, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if I get this right, but I think he's called, okay, I want to say, I may have got this wrong. I did get it wrong. Dang, got it wrong. It's hard. Brad Pitt's character is known as the Wahlberg. That's right. They all have movie star aliases. The thieves do. You never know the real names in the movie. Brad Pitt's character is called the Wahlberg. I got that one wrong. Okay, yeah. He goes by the Wahlberg. Edward Norton's another thief who's expert with ninjas, motorcycles, and he likes to listen to self-help stuff on his MP3 player. And Edward Norton's character goes by the McConaughey. Because I can just picture Edward Norton saying, "I'm the McConaughey," because they have the little meeting about the aliases. Now, so we got Edward Norton, he's the McConaughey. That's the alias that he goes by. Now, Josh Brolin. Now, his alias is actually, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say his is, let me look at my notes. Over. So we know that Edward Norton is the McConaughey. Sorry, I messed that one up. Now, the other alias, of course, is Josh Brolin, who is, let me double check. Okay, Josh Brolin is called the Pit. Think of the Goonies. Pitfall, the Goonies. Got it? Because Josh Brolin played in the Goonies. So he's called the Pit. Okay, got it. Now, Edward Norton is called the Cooper, and he's the expert on just all types of travel devices. It can be a Ninja, it can be a Mini Cooper, whatever it may be. They use different travel devices to get away in the middle of, Rush Hour. Okay, most of them get away on ninjas. Now we know Ryan Gosling. Okay, yeah, Ryan Gosling is one of the 4 thieves. Now, he goes by the name, the alias. These are tough. But I want to say that he's probably the Cooper. Why, the Brolin is the Pit. Yes, Josh Brolin is the Pit because of Goonies. Ryan Gosling is the Cooper. Right. Edward Norton is the McConaughey. And Brad Pitt is the Wahlberg. Okay. Now, how am I going to remember this? This is pretty easy how to remember, okay? Brad Pitt played a character called in Snatch that you couldn't hear. He mumbled in Snatch. Okay. Now, he also played a boxer in Snatch. And Wahlberg played a boxer in The Fighter. So that's how you can remember those two. So you got Brad Pitt playing the alias of the Wahlberg. Those are hard to remember. And then we know that Josh Brolin is the Pitt, right? Matthew McConaughey is Texas Ranger Jay Wilson. Mark Wahlberg is Special Agent Ewan Keyes. Okay, we know that Brad Pitt is the Wahlberg. We know that Josh Brolin is the Pitt. Got it. We know that Ryan Gosling plays the Cooper. And we know that Edward Norton plays the McConaughey. I just picture Edward Norton saying, "I'm the McConaughey?" The McConaughey. The only of the 5 thieves, the only one that doesn't have the THE, does not have the, is just known as Norton. And that's the Cooper. That's Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper, meaning Bradley Cooper plays Norton. Because like the Norton antivirus. Got it? They all have a reason for their aliases. So it starts off a high-speed chase. They start off all at or around. And I got to look at my notes on who does what. But one of them is an Uber driver. I know that Josh Brolin is a janitor that works at the actual Bureau of Engravings. And Josh Brolin's character we know is the Pit. We know that Brad Pitt is the head thief. So he would come in on the motorcycle and leave on the motorcycle to oversee everything. Now, he's picked up eventually at the Texas Motor Speedway, going around in circles, throwing smoke bombs, getting all the attention of all the local law enforcement over there by the Speedway after the 4 bank robberies. Because they basically robbed 4 different banks at the same time. Now, of course, the engraving is robbed because the other banks are decoys. Or really, it's 3 different banks and then the engravings, which doesn't really count as a bank. So it's 3 different banks as decoys. Now, Pitt leads them to throwing smoke bombs and all this stuff through to the Texas Motor Speedway, going around in circles until they get there. And then Bradley Cooper, who is known as Norton, picks him up in a helicopter and picks up the loot and him, and they go flying off to another destination to hide. Now, at the same time, they're given a mass media message that is sent out like on Facebook and all different things saying, do not chase the heist people, the robbers of the USD engravings, or they'll be shot down with surface-to-air missiles, because they know they can't be traced. Because on the back of their ninjas, they can drop these spike strips and knock them out that way. Anyone that chases them, whoever it may be, other thieves or law enforcement or whatever it may be. And they all work together in 4 different directions. Now, they have a plan to meet up because they all have to go camping and get out of public eye for about a month or so. And they meet up at a restaurant in Act 2 to discuss what they're going to do with the loot. Now, this is also what happens. In Act 2, then we go into the FBI agent, played by Mark Wahlberg, known as Ewan Keyes, Special Agent Keyes, and the Texas Ranger, who leads the investigation too, who is played by Jay Wilson. Only the Texas Ranger is the one that comes close to getting them. But he decides in the end to let them go because he knows they have ties with the Southern Militia. So it's only really the Special Agent Ewan Keyes, Mark Wahlberg, who pursues them and never really finds them. Now, in the very end, they meet up. Now, there is a plant. There's a woman named Kate Keener, and she's released to basically try to trap the Southern guy, the Southern thief, the head of the Southern thief, which is basically segment where one of the five thieves gets a jet ski and has them going looking for him on the middle of this thing. But they have like this underground submarine kind of thing. This is like a real high tech, almost to the point of genius. And they can go underwater for a while to hide or something. I don't know. I have to think about that one. That's an idea. Okay, so Kate Keener is used as bait, probably most likely by the FBI. She's a special agent. She's deep in undercover to basically try to foil this, you know, engravings robbery kind of thing. This guy's a butthole right here. So what that basically means is that we don't know her level of expertise. Think of something like Silence of the Lambs, but more like Rush. If you've seen the movie Rush, it's a really good movie with Jennifer Jason Leigh. Deep undercover, you know, and she's there to basically try to foil the make sure I get this right, the Wahlberg, which is Bradley Pitt's character. Remember, he's known as the Wahlberg. Anytime you hear the, you're thinking of an alias, right, or a pseudonym. Don't get it mixed up with the actual actors, because the idea behind it, the initial idea behind it was to use some of the actors or the stars or the movie stars that have these same names that the aliases would have. Don't ask me how I came up with this. But anyway, it's a heist movie. Think of like Ocean's 11 maybe mixed in a little bit, maybe a little bit of Reservoir Dogs mixed in with other heist movies. Just a whole different type of different heist movies. Now I am getting, on the back, remember, of every ninja, there's a little wagon that they pull. So they can go up to high speeds with this wagon, even up to 150 or whatever. It's a special designed wagon, extended wagon thing, that they can carry their equipment, which would be, some of them would have surface-to-air missiles, some would have, well, they're going to have camping gear, because they don't meet up together to camp. They camp in individual spots to hide afterwards, because it's like a big-time, you know, Southern militia kind of thing is really what it is. It's very high-tech. Think of Special Agent Sam Fisher from Special Op games, like, what is that game called? Splinter Cell. You know, this is like a Splinter Cell kind of thing almost in a way. But these guys are a little bit rogue, and they're going after, because there's a problem with society, and they're trying to fix it kind of thing. Anyway, that's kind of what I have right now. I do have other notes that I've taken, specific things about chase sequences, which all this stuff will be written down first before I start dialogue. I do have a little bit of dialogue. Okay, here's some dialogue that I already have. There is a kind of a fight, because there's a sequence just like with Mr. Pink. Like, what I gotta be Mr. Pink. Now that was a really good thing that Quentin Tarantino came up with. This one, Bradley Cooper's there. He's the hacker, and he of course gets his name. And Edward Norton says something to him, and he goes, "What? I don't get the Norton?" And he goes, "No, you're just Norton. You're the only one that doesn't have the THE." He's like, "What? Like how they dropped the Facebook? You know, how they dropped the from Facebook? You know, they just call it Facebook. It was originally called the Facebook." Well, he knows that, and like, you know, the Norton character, which is Bradley Cooper, says that. Then something is said about Cooper, because then he goes, "Well, your name is the Cooper," which is, we all know, is it's a hard. Oh, Gosling, Ryan Gosling. He's like, "Oh, I have to be called the Cooper? You know, that sounds stupid." So then, like, you know, Bradley Cooper would say, "Well, what's wrong with being called the Cooper?" That's kind of funny, you know what I'm saying? Because Bradley Cooper is the hat guy, and he may be giving out some of the names. So during that time, even though he's got some of the aliases from Brad Pitt's character, which is called the Wahlberg. I always want to call him another name, but he's called the Wahlberg. Of course, you can't make a joke there because the FBI agent's not going to be present there. There is one snake though, and that's the woman who comes in later, who is basically hooked up with the Brad Pitt character, which, well, not Brad Pitt character, but Brad Pitt thing, which is what's his name? He's the Wahlberg. So basically, it's kind of crazy because she's been kind of tagging along for a while because of this plan that's been foiled, or she's trying to foil it to get information, and she's known as Kate Keener. So anyway, that's what I have. Also seen The Betrayal with Deborah Winger and Tom Berenger. That's also kind of in the heist film too. Or what can we call the Five Thieves.